What's going on, guys? It's Mr. Alchemy, and today I'm finally bringing you the 71-2 game of Kill Confirmed on Dome that I promised quite some time ago. I'm just now getting around to doing commentary on it and uploading it, mainly because I wanted to save it for a good topic. But I am using the MP7. I know you probably see a lot of this if you ever watch commentaries anymore, but I do apologize for that. I know it's overused. And I'm using the Specialist, not Assault, as you might think. With a score like 71-2, you might think that a lot of my kills come from Assault streaks, but I still feel like Specialist Streak shows the most skill as far as gun skills confirmed. For some reason, people call people who use Specialist setup pussies or bad at the game. Honestly, yes, once you get 8 kills, you are a walking tank, but it still takes skill to get 71 kills with your gun. To me, it just takes more skill to do that than get 71 kills with something that you have no control over, and all depends on if the other team shoots it down or what kind of map you're on. If you're on a map like Village, your air support is going to get you a lot more kills than if you were on somewhere with a lot of buildings, Baccarat perhaps. But enough about the gameplay. I'm not going to really talk about that, but as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite games of all time. And I actually, when I came up with this topic, I was like, oh, that's going to be easy. And I sat down and tried to think of my top 5 favorite games of all time, and it was a lot harder than I thought. Mainly because, I am a gamer, that's what I love to do. I have played a hell of a lot of video games in my time, my day. I sound like an old guy saying that. And it was just really hard for me to think of 5 games that, stood out amongst the others that I really, really enjoy. And a lot of these have to do with how much time I've put into these games, not necessarily my favorite or something that was the most fun. Now, these don't mean that I don't like other games. I'll tell you right off the bat that Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto 4, although I've played those a lot and I think they're a lot of fun and I really enjoyed them, they're not in my top 5. So, some of these are going to be a series overall rather than a specific, like an individual game, and I'll get to that in a second. But starting at number 5, my 5th favorite game of all time is COD 4. Now, this could easily be a series thing. I could just say the COD series in general, the COD franchise, but COD 4 just takes the cake. I mean, it's the first COD I ever started playing online. It's where I met most of the people I know today on PSN. To me, it was just the best COD ever made. It was really balanced. And that was back in the day where people, weren't abusing every easy thing in the game to do well or to have fun. So I found that the most fun. I put about probably a good 30 days into that game, 25-ish with my first account, and then when I joined Excel, I made an account off of that and had a couple days on that, combined with my account now, which hardly even has a day. So I would say an estimate of 30 days. That's rounding up. But I still find that game a lot of fun. Unfortunately, no one plays it anymore, but the other COD games just don't appeal to me as much as COD 4 did. And that might be because since I've played COD so much since then, that COD is kind of burning out for me. But long story short, COD 4 is just my favorite COD of all time and my 5th favorite game of all time. So coming in at number 4, we've got the Ratchet & Clank series. Now you're probably like, you're 21 years old and your 4th favorite series or game of all time is Ratchet & Clank. Keep in mind, I don't play that game anymore. Once they stopped making them, or once the PS3 came out and they didn't really make any for PS3 for a while, I just stopped playing it. I know they have 3 or 4 out for the PS3 now, but for PS2, the original Ratchet & Clank series was just so much fun for me. I played every one of those games a couple times, beat them a couple times. I remember when I got Ratchet & Clank, the first one was the same day I got my PS2, my first PS2, and I had walking pneumonia that week, and my mom had promised me for like the past month that she would take me out that week and buy me a PS2. And I had walking pneumonia, and I was like in my room wearing like 103 fever. She came in and asked if I still wanted to get a PS2, and I said yes. So that was among 2 games I bought for my first PS2 that day. But when I started playing it, it was just a lot of fun, and they kept coming out. I think the second one was Going Commando. Third one was Up Your Arsenal-ish. I'm a little unsure on which ones were which, but either way, it was just a really fun series for me. I'm sure most of you who play PS3 or played PS2 in the past know what Ratchet & Clank is. Basically, it's about a furry little guy who looks like a fox called, his race is called the Lombax. He's like one of the last ones in the world, or in the universe, and Clank is just a little robot. And you really learn more about them and where they came from in the first game. And as you progress, there's like drama going on where they'll fight and break up for a little bit. But in the end, it's all happy, and and there's some little funny things that older, players would understand, whereas younger kids wouldn't. But anyway, that's number 4. Number 3, a lot of you might not have heard about before, but it's called Gauntlet Dark Legacy. It's for PS2. Now, this isn't necessarily a game that was so amazing. I mean, the graphics were a little off, but the gameplay value, like the replay value, was moderately high, and it's kind of different. I don't want to say it's an RPG, but it's basically you pick a character. You can pick between like a warrior, a knight, a dwarf, an archer, a jester, and each male character has a female counterpart to it. But each character also has a certain stat that's higher than everybody else's. For example, the archer, which is the female, and the jester, which is the male, have higher speed than everybody else, so on and so forth. But basically, you go throughout all these realms and collecting things called runestones, trying to get to the underworld to defeat this evil demon thing. Yeah, I know it sounds really abstract, it sounds really dumb, but for those of you that have played it, you know what I'm talking about, and it's a lot of fun. And I've put a lot of time into that game. There was a point where I had almost every character up to level 99, which is the max you can go to. There are still, and you go through like the whole thing and unlock treasure chests, and there are still some stages in that game that I remember what's in the treasure chests, and I remember a lot about that game, and that shows me that I put enough time into that game to consider it among my top 5 favorite of all time. But number 2, this is another series, the Assassin's Creed series. You can't go wrong with Assassin's Creed. I mean, I have not heard one person say they don't like that game. I understand you might not like the genre if you're a really, really big shooter fan, FPS, or maybe even third person, but Assassin's Creed is just a great game. The storyline is really awesome. I'll be honest, I have not played Revelations yet. I haven't had the time or the money to do that. I'm really hoping I can buy it soon, play it down, and hopefully get an idea, refresh my memory on what's going on before Assassin's Creed 3, I think it is, comes out this fall. I haven't pre-ordered that yet, and I also haven't pre-ordered Black Ops 2. I should probably get on that, considering it comes out in a little less than a month. But anyway, that's my number 2, and my number 1 of all time, and I've mentioned this before, a game called Dynasty Warriors 5. It's for PS2. Dynasty Warriors is a series, a franchise more like. The 2 games that have come out for it on PS3, the 2 main ones are Dynasty Warriors 6 and 7. 5 was the last major installment of Dynasty Warriors on the PS2. It's basically a hack and slash. A lot of people don't like that because they don't feel like there's anything to it. I just really like it. It's based off of true dynasties in China way back. I probably should have looked up the century before I talked about the game, but way back when, like, if you look up the Wei, Shu, or Wu dynasties, they're all real. The characters are real. Obviously, the story is a little bit different depending on who you play through the story with. I mean, if you play through somebody from the Wu Kingdom is going to emerge victorious, but if I remember correctly, I believe the Wei Kingdom was the one that emerged victorious in actual history. But anyway, guys, I could have gone into more detail about that last game, Dynasty Warriors 5, but this was my top 5 favorite games of all time. I hope you enjoyed this and the gameplay. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you later.